My girlfriend said, "I'm not sure you're father material." I replied, "Then why stay with me?" She smiled and said, "Because right now you're good enough." We were having dinner at a new Italian place downtown, the kind with cloth napkins and a sommelier who hovers like an anxious ghost. Emma had picked it because the ambience matched her earrings. A sentence I didn't even know was possible until I started dating her. Halfway through the burrata, she looked up, swirled her wine, and said very calmly, "I just don't think you're father material." The fork stopped halfway to my mouth. The couple next to us paused mid-conversation. Somewhere behind me, a waiter pretended to rearrange cutlery. "I'm sorry," I asked. She shrugged, as if commenting on the weather. "You're great for now, but you don't project long-term stability. My sister says I need someone with provider energy." "Then why are you with me?" She smiled, that small, cruel curve that always meant she thought she'd won something. "Because right now, you're good enough." Later that night, back home, she kicked off her heels and said over her shoulder, "I booked an appointment to freeze my eggs. It's $6,200. I'll just put it on your card. I'll pay you back." I nodded, said nothing. She called her sister in the bedroom, laughing softly. "He took it so well." That's when I opened my phone, typed vasectomy near me, and pressed schedule consultation. Dr. Miller had that calm, neutral tone that doctors use when they're trying not to project judgment. "Are you absolutely sure?" he asked, hands clasped like a priest about to grant absolution. "Yeah," I said. "She's preserving her options. I'm just closing mine." He nodded slowly, typed a few notes, and explained the recovery, the risks, the permanence. I listened, but my mind was somewhere else, in our apartment, where Emma's voice would echo through the hallway every time she called me short-sighted for not wanting kids right now. Every argument ended the same way. Me apologizing for being difficult, and her updating some invisible checklist of future disappointments. 2 days later, she got suspicious. I'd started coming home late, partly because of the doctor's appointments, partly because sitting in a parked car outside a coffee shop for 20 quiet minutes felt more peaceful than my own living room. "Why are you disappearing after work lately?" she asked that Thursday night, tone sharp but eyes glossy, like she'd rehearsed indignation in front of a mirror. "Meetings," I lied, stirring my coffee. "What meetings? You work in IT. You hate meetings." "Yeah, well, it's end of quarter," I mumbled. That night I came home to find her sitting on the couch, coat still on, arms crossed. "I checked your location," she said flatly. "Why were you at a medical center?" Her voice cracked slightly on medical. I shrugged, hanging up my jacket. "Planning for the future," I said. "Just like you." For a second, she didn't move. Then the color drained from her face, replaced by a slow, building rage that tightened her jaw. "You're doing this to punish me," she snapped. "No," I said quietly. "I'm doing this to protect myself." She stared at me, eyes wide, like she couldn't decide whether to cry or throw something. Finally, she grabbed her phone, threw it onto the couch, and shouted, "You're unbelievable. You're being petty." "Maybe," I said, "but at least I'm consistent." She stormed into the bedroom, emerged 10 minutes later dragging a suitcase, and announced she was staying at her sister's until I grow up. I didn't stop her. The door slammed, and for the first time in months, the apartment exhaled. Silence is a strange thing. It can feel like peace or punishment depending on what you've lost. For me, it felt like clarity. That night, I poured myself a drink, sat at my desk, and started gathering evidence. Not because I planned to use it, but because something deep in my gut whispered that I'd need it. I printed every bank statement showing my transfers for her business expenses. Every Venmo note, studio rent, materials, wholesale gemstones. I scrolled through texts and screenshotted every one that mentioned repayment. Every time she'd promised she'd catch up next month. 8 months of small withdrawals and big excuses. I made a folder labeled Emma Finances 2023 and another one, private, labeled Exit Plan. Around midnight, I opened her jewelry store's Instagram page, the one I'd helped her set up, and noticed something new. A photo of a diamond ring on display, captioned, "For the woman who never settles." The comments were full of heart emojis and congratulations. One stood out. "He finally proposed?" Emma had liked it. I closed my laptop slowly, heartbeat steady, breath shallow. I hadn't proposed. I wasn't even in the picture. The next morning, I woke to silence again. No texts, no calls, not even the usual stream of memes she'd send before 8 a.m. I made coffee, stared at my phone, and wondered whether peace was supposed to feel this heavy. By noon, I knew what I had to do. If Emma was building a narrative, I needed to start documenting mine. I backed up every photo, every chat, every shared financial document. Even the petty ones, the kind that make you feel crazy for saving them. Because if the last 4 years had taught me anything, it was this. When people start talking about options and timelines, they're already halfway out the door. She thought I was being petty. Maybe I was. But petty is just another word for prepared. Monday morning, 7:42 a.m. I was halfway through making coffee, bleary-eyed, still in my undershirt, when my phone rang on speaker. "Hi, this is the urology center confirming your vasectomy appointment for Wednesday." Emma walked out of the shower at that exact moment, towel wrapped around her hair, steam trailing behind her like a furious apparition. "What did she just say?" she demanded. "A vasectomy?" I stirred the coffee, calm as stone. "Yeah," I said. "Your eggs, my choice. Fair's fair." Her mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. "That's not the same thing." "Sure it is," I replied. "You're preserving your options. I'm closing mine." The towel hit the floor. "You're doing this to hurt me." "No, Emma. I'm doing this so no one ever uses me as a backup plan again." She stormed off, muttering curses that sounded rehearsed. For someone who claimed I wasn't father material, she sure reacted like I just abandoned our imaginary family. 2 days later, the clinic parking lot looked like a bad sitcom. Emma's car pulled up right behind mine. I stepped out, holding the paperwork, and there she was with her mother, Donna, in tow. "Are you out of your mind?" Donna barked before I could even close the car door. "This is self-mutilation." "Good morning to you too," I said. Emma folded her arms. "You're not doing this. You need therapy, not surgery." "Already paid for the therapy," I said. "Didn't work. This is cheaper." She turned to her mom. "See what I mean? Emotionally unstable." We must have been loud, because the clinic door opened and Dr. Miller himself appeared, looking mildly entertained. "Everything okay out here?" "This man needs psychiatric help," Donna announced. Dr. Miller's eyebrows lifted. "Ma'am, your presence here is inappropriate. He's a competent adult and this is his appointment. Please wait outside or leave." Emma glared at me like I'd betrayed some sacred code. I just smiled. "It's fine, document. Let's get started before someone brings the press." When I came out an hour later, sore but oddly lighter, their car was gone. Peace, brief and quiet, like fresh snow. That night, I got home, shuffled to the couch, and nearly dropped my bag. They were waiting for me. Emma, Donna, and her sister, Lydia, the family tribunal. Coffee cups on the table, shoes off like they owned the place. "We need to talk," Donna said, in that tone that mothers reserve for small children and court defendants. "Later," I muttered, walking past them. "When you remember this isn't your house. You're throwing away your future," she said. "My future's safer now than it's ever been." Lydia scoffed. "You're pathetic. What kind of man does this just to prove a point? The kind of man who's tired of being one." Emma's voice cracked then. "You don't understand. I wanted to make sure I'd have choices. What if you left me?" I turned around, met her eyes. "You already were planning to. You just wanted me to finance the options first." Her expression twisted. Part guilt, part anger, part realization that her script was falling apart. Donna stood up, towering like an overwatered orchid. "You've humiliated my daughter enough." "No," I said. "She's done that all on her own." I went to my bedroom, locked the door, and lay down. Behind it, I could hear muffled voices, the front door slamming, then silence again. The next morning, I found a note on the kitchen counter in Emma's neat, looping handwriting. I hope you can live with this decision. Some wounds don't heal. Underneath it, the receipt for her egg freezing deposit, charged to my card. I laughed, not bitterly, just quietly, like someone finally getting the punchline to a long, cruel joke. That evening, I called the credit card company and disputed the charge as unauthorized. Then I texted Emma a photo of the cancellation notice with a single line. You wanted to preserve your future. Pay for it yourself. An hour later, she texted back, "You'll regret this." I stared at the screen for a long time, then put the phone face down. Maybe I would. But at least it would be my regret, earned, chosen, and mine alone. And as I turned off the lights, the apartment felt different. Not emptier, just quieter. The kind of quiet that doesn't need to be filled. 3 days later, it happened, the inevitable explosion. I woke up to 23 notifications before my coffee even finished brewing. Emma had posted on Facebook, "After 4 years together, my boyfriend got a vasectomy to spite me. This is emotional abuse disguised as fairness. Ladies, protect yourselves from manipulative men who fear commitment. Hashtag toxic masculinity, hashtag reproductive control." There was even a filtered photo of us from last Christmas. Her in a red dress, me smiling like a fool, arm around her waist. The caption made me look like a psychopath who snipped himself out of vengeance. She'd tagged mutual friends, even my boss. At first, I just stared at the screen, numb. Then I saw the comments. Her friends were swarming the post like piranhas. What a monster. Typical man, can't handle a strong woman. He just wanted to control you. And then, right when I was about to close the app, I saw my brother's name appear. Funny story. She charged $6,200 on his card for egg freezing, called him not father material. And now she's mad he took her seriously. He attached screenshots, 8 text messages. Her laughing about me being too soft to ever say no. The credit card charge. Even the screenshot where she told her sister. He took it so well, face with tears of joy. The internet shifted on its axis. The first sympathetic comments vanished under a flood of question marks. Wait, she stole from him? So he just matched her energy? How is it abused to make your own medical decision? One woman wrote, "As a therapist, I can confidently say this isn't emotional abuse. It's called boundaries." Emma's defenders thinned fast. Some of her friends quietly untagged themselves. Others started posting neutral emojis. The final blow came from her old college roommate, Rachel. "Girl, don't act like you didn't say you were keeping your eggs for someone better. You literally said that at brunch." That comment alone got 2,000 likes before Emma deleted the post. But it was too late. Screenshots were already on Twitter, Reddit, and a Facebook group called "Are We Dating the Same Guy?" Except this time, the guy wasn't the villain. By noon, my work email was filling up, mostly from coworkers pretending not to gossip. "Hey man, saw something weird on Facebook. You okay?" Crazy how people air private stuff online these days. And my boss, who'd been tagged, sent a short, dry message. "Handled internally. Not your fault. Take a personal day if needed." It was surreal. I'd spent years being the quiet, dependable one, the guy who fixes Wi-Fi and brings donuts to meetings, and now I was the protagonist in a viral morality play about reproductive rights and relationship hypocrisy. By 6 p.m., the screenshots had crossed into local social media pages. Some influencer even did a hot take video titled, "When Empowerment Turns to Entitlement." Meanwhile, Emma went silent. Not a single text, call, or post from her after the deletion. But her mother, Donna, filled the void. At 8:17 p.m., my phone buzzed with a message that began with the words every man dreads. "I'm not angry, just disappointed." She went on to say I'd ruined her daughter's life, that people are calling her names, and that a real man would have handled this privately. I replied with a screenshot of my untouched public silence and wrote, "I did handle it privately. She went public first." Donna's response was instant. "You could have stopped your brother. He's a grown man, Donna, and he told the truth." No reply after that. But the fallout didn't stop there. Two of Emma's suppliers from her jewelry shop unfollowed her business page. One even posted a cryptic story: "Integrity matters more than sparkle." The small-town algorithm did the rest. Customers started canceling orders. By midnight, I checked her business profile again. The comments section had turned into a full-blown referendum. Is this the egg freeze girl? Yikes. Imagine scamming your own boyfriend. Not buying from someone who weaponizes social media. I didn't celebrate. I didn't even smile. Watching someone self-destruct is less satisfying when you love them once. Still, I saved every screenshot. Not to gloat, to protect myself. Because if Emma had taught me anything, it's that silence isn't the same as safety. That night, I sat in the dark living room, scrolling through the wreckage of her online persona. It felt strange. How fast public sympathy can turn when the truth is time-stamped. I closed my laptop and stared at the blank TV screen, my reflection faint in the glass. For the first time, I realized that the version of me she'd built, spineless, compliant, disposable, was gone. And what replaced him was someone who finally understood the difference between peace and surrender. It took exactly 5 days for the legal threat to arrive. Printed on cheap letterhead, full of typos and righteous fury. Dear Mr. Carter, our client, Ms. Emma Lawson, demands immediate repayment of $6,200 for unauthorized medical cancellation, compensation for emotional distress, and permission to reclaim her residence, as she remains entitled to cohabitation rights under common law domestic partnership statutes. My lawyer friend Mike nearly spit out his coffee laughing. She's not on the lease, right? Not even the utilities, I said. Then this is garbage. Straight to the bin. He skimmed the next paragraph and whistled. They even spelled vasectomy wrong. Real professional. He leaned back, grinning. Ignore it. If she files anything real, I'll crush it in small claims court before lunch. It should have made me feel triumphant. Instead, I just felt tired. The adrenaline that had carried me through the chaos was wearing off, leaving behind the dull ache of someone who'd finally stopped running. That night, I poured a drink and reread the letter one last time before tossing it into the shredder. The hum of the machine was oddly therapeutic, a mechanical full stop on months of madness. Then came the message request on Instagram. A guy named Ryan P. Profile picture of a gym mirror and golden retriever. Hey man, weird question. You dated Emma, right? I hesitated. Yeah. Why? I'm seeing her now. Or was. She says you were controlling and jealous. But she keeps asking me for money. Temporary business loan, she called it. Something feels off. What's going on? I stared at the message for a full minute, then opened my screenshots folder. Sent him 3 pictures. The egg freezing charge, the not father material text, and her laughing about me being gullible. He went silent for 10 minutes. Then, holy crap. Thanks, man. Blocking her right now. One more dot added to the constellation of men she underestimated. A week later, the gossip cycle had moved on. The viral post was buried under new drama, new villains. But word spread quietly. Emma's jewelry shop had closed for renovations and never reopened. Her landlord listed the storefront as available the following month. Her online store vanished too. One day it was there, full of minimalist rings and filtered product shots. The next, 404 not found. Someone on Reddit even posted a thread about a local influencer who scammed customers and tried to frame her ex. It didn't name her, but the comments pieced it together fast. I didn't join in, didn't correct anyone. The truth had its own legs now. A few days later, a new notification popped up on Facebook. Message request from Donna Lawson. She's changed. She's really sorry. Maybe you two could talk. Attached was a photo. Emma at a family picnic, hair tied back, no makeup, holding her baby niece. She looked smaller somehow, deflated. For a second, my chest tightened. That reflexive empathy that survives even after love dies. Then I remembered the clinic parking lot, her mother yelling that I was unstable, and the online post where I was labeled abusive. I blocked her without replying. Because the truth was, there was nothing left to say. Closure doesn't always come in conversations. Sometimes it comes in silence, in not having to explain yourself again. That night, I sat on my balcony, watching the city lights flicker against the river. For the first time in months, my phone was quiet. No accusations, no ultimatums, no emotional whiplash disguised as conversation. Just quiet. I thought about Dr. Miller's question, "Are you sure?" and realized it applied to far more than the surgery. I'd been unsure about everything back then. My relationship, my choices, myself. But not anymore. Emma's life, as far as I could tell, had folded in on itself. All that curated perfection imploding under its own vanity. And mine, strangely, had started expanding. I reconnected with old friends. Signed up for weekend hikes. Learned how to cook something beyond pasta. Freedom didn't feel like fireworks. It felt like Sunday mornings with sunlight spilling through clean windows and nobody criticizing the way I loaded the dishwasher. Still, every now and then, I'd pass by the empty storefront that used to house her shop. The sign was gone, but faint letters still outlined the name EL Designs. Once, I caught myself almost smiling. Not out of spite, just recognition. That was where the version of me who apologized too much had finally gone extinct. And standing there on the sidewalk, watching strangers walk past the ghost of her dream, I realized that sometimes revenge isn't loud or cruel. Sometimes it's just walking away and letting gravity finish the job. 2 months later, I was living in Austin. Smaller apartment, better light. A rescue dog named Milo who thought every UPS delivery was an existential threat. The city was louder than the one I'd left, but somehow, my life was quieter. No midnight arguments about tone. No random charges appearing on my credit card. No emotional boomerangs disguised as talks. Just quiet. I'd forgotten what that felt like. The kind of quiet that doesn't demand explanation. Most mornings, I'd take Milo for a walk around Ladybird Lake before work. He'd stop to sniff everything, tail wagging like life was an endless buffet of small joys. Sometimes I'd catch myself smiling for no reason other than the simplicity of it. Leash in hand, coffee in the other, no one accusing me of not trying hard enough. When I started dating again, I made a rule. Honesty before chemistry. I told people about the vasectomy early, half expecting the same reaction Emma had given me. The disbelief, the accusation. Some ghosted after the first date. Others nodded politely, like they'd just been handed a menu item they weren't in the mood for. And then there was Sarah. We met at a bookstore, the kind with uneven floors and cats that nap on philosophy shelves. She was looking for a copy of The Myth of Sisyphus. I was pretending to read when Milo knocked over a display of postcards. She laughed, helped me pick them up, and we ended up talking about everything except dating. She told me, over coffee later, that she was also child-free by choice. Not out of fear or cynicism, but because she'd spent years raising younger siblings and wanted a life that didn't revolve around sacrifice. No speeches, no pressure, no hidden timelines. Just understanding. We're taking it slow. She lives across town, has her own space, her own friends, her own peace. When we see each other, it feels like two parallel lives occasionally intersecting. Not one person trying to colonize the other's world. Sometimes, late at night, I'll catch myself replaying the past. Not with bitterness, just curiosity. Emma's voice saying, "You're not father material." And maybe she was right. I'm not built to be molded into someone else's vision of security. I don't thrive under checklists or quotas for affection. I don't perform well in relationships where love is currency and compromise is debt. But father material? Maybe not in the way she meant. Maybe in another sense, someone capable of protecting what matters, of setting boundaries that actually hold. Someone who learned the hard way that love without respect is just charity. The truth is, Emma didn't ruin me. She sped me up, forced me to grow faster than comfort would have allowed. Before her, I said yes to keep the peace. After her, I learned that peace isn't something you buy with silence. It's something you build by walking away from noise. Sometimes I scroll through old photos. Not to miss her, but to remind myself how far I've come. That man in the pictures looks polite, tired, uncertain. The one now, not perfect but solid. A few weeks ago, out of sheer curiosity, I checked her old jewelry page. It was gone, replaced by a travel blog, a handful of filtered sunsets and captions about healing and reinvention. I didn't feel anger, just distance. Like reading the biography of someone I used to know in another life. Milo barked at a jogger then, snapping me back. I laughed, scratched his head, and thought about how peace doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It just arrives quietly, like sunlight creeping through blinds. So yeah, Emma was right about one thing. I wasn't father material, not for her, because I was never supposed to raise someone who refused to grow. The best revenge turned out to be simple. I stopped auditioning for anyone else's idea of worth. And when people ask what changed, I tell them this: nothing dramatic, no grand transformation. Just one decision made quietly in a sterile clinic months ago to take control of my own future. That was the day I stopped being someone's backup plan and finally became my own.